Trailers for both the Bobsburgers movie and Bel-Air stream online as DC's Peacemaker premieres on HBO Max and Scream opens in theaters. I'm Joe Acierno.
And I'm Darius Delsoin. This is Cinema Unchained.
All right, folks, before we get into the trailer for the Bobsburgers movie, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, YouTube, and so much more. If you want to help out the show, why wouldn't you guys want to help out the show? Please give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you can. Now, before we give you our first impressions of the new show Peacemaker, the trailer for the Bobsburgers movie was released online this past week based on the long-running TV show Bob's Burgers. A ruptured water main break forms a sinkhole right outside the family restaurant. And, of course, this happens as the Belcher kids try to solve a mystery that could possibly save the family restaurant as the adults in the family try to do the same with their own methods. Now, I've only seen a little bit of Bob's Burgers here and there, but from what I have seen, I honestly like the show. And especially after watching this trailer, I'm like, okay, in terms of like, you know, the animated sitcom that I casually watch, like while I'm eating lunch or whatever, I have to get more into this after I'm done with King of the Hill, because I definitely appreciate the sort of particular breed of humor that the show has. Again, it's witty and funny in a zany and silly sort of way that doesn't make me feel like I'm losing brain cells. And this movie looks no different. I mean, Linda promoting sexy burgers in the trailer, which is a marketing concept I've never seen nor thought of. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this movie gives us, how it turns out.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I first saw the trailer, the first thing that kind of, I thought of was, to be honest, the Simpsons movie. And I remember
Same.
years ago when that came out, and I was clamoring over that movie, absolutely loved it. And I love The Simpsons. So seeing that Bob's Burgers getting the same attention is really cool. I think it's pretty fun. And I find Bob's interesting that Bob's Burgers getting one, but actually, no, yeah, like Bob's Burger, again, I'm happy this series is getting the movie that probably a lot of people either have been wanting, or maybe it's that unnecessary movie, but nonetheless, is getting a movie, and it's going to be on the big screen in a similar fashion to The Simpsons. So I'm really curious to see what they do. From the trailers, I liked it. I'm intrigued. I want to see it, but I'm not rushing to go see it. That's the thing. So, it's not like for me, when it comes to Star Wars or the Marvel movies, where it's like, no, I got to be there day one sort of thing.
Yeah.
But Bob's Burger, if you're a Bob's Burger fan, maybe it is for you that you got to be there day one. So either way, I think it's exciting. I think it's cool. And I'm really happy that, this more animated movies of beloved series that people love, the possibility of maybe more of them coming out, and Bob's Burgers, like that next one, I think it's pretty cool. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens.
Yeah, I wonder exactly how they would go about, doing other animated shows into films as well. Because again, like I remember when the Simpsons movie came out, like that movie was such a big deal. And I remember watching it on DVD at home with my family for the first time. I nearly pissed myself laughing. I was 10 years old when that movie came out. That movie was hilarious. It's still funny to this day. So again, could the Bob's Burgers movie possibly live up to something like that? Yeah, it could. And I just know that there are certain people that I am looking forward to seeing this with. If you're listening to this, you know exactly who you are. Now, the thing is that this is currently set to go into theaters only, which makes me happy too, on May 27th of this year. But this movie has also been delayed so many times across the span of about 2 years, almost 2 years, because of COVID. So I'm like, we're almost there. Like, let's just hold out a little bit longer so we can finally see this. So I hope that, it doesn't get butchered again. Because I remember when it came to Morbius, too. Not that I care too much about Morbius, but we were like a couple weeks away from Morbius coming out. Then they push it back to April. We're just like, come on. Like, just release it already. Just get it out of the way. Yep. Just rip off the Band-Aid,
Yep, exactly. So it's these delays, everything, and it's happening again this year. And I'm just like, oh man. At least hopefully Bob's Burger sticks with this May release date, and we can all see that in theaters. But yeah,
because I feel like this would be a good summer movie.
Oh, for sure. This definitely seems like just a fun summer movie. It's like start of the summer. Yep, we're gonna see Bob's Burger.
Yep. Yeah. So, all right, for all you guys that are with us again, are you fans of of Bob's Burgers, the show? Does the movie actually, show any kind of promise? Do you feel like the show deserves a movie? Did the trailer actually do anything for you? Leave your thoughts in the comment section wherever you can. Now, before we talk about the reboot of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, kind of an odd sentence to say, but whatever. Following the events of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, the hero Peacemaker is coerced into more contract killing by the arms of Amanda Waller in order to avoid more prison time. And obviously, I'm talking about the new show, Peacemaker, which just premiered on HBO Max this past Thursday. Now, there are only 3 episodes on there so far, and I honestly have to say that I'm very impressed with what I've seen at this point.
That's awesome. Yeah, because when I mentioned it to you, I was like, I'm not sure if he would be into it, but it'll be something we can talk about. And I know for me, I am enjoying it more than I thought. Peacemaker was like the one character I absolutely despise from the Suicide Squad, and I was like, how are you going to do a show to a character that just, if you haven't seen it, oh well, killed Red Flag. He gets a building toppled on him, and he still survives, bruh. No, just no. Like, I love you, James Gunn, but this is too comic booky now. This is too comic booky. But and I like John Cena. To a certain, I don't love the guy or the actor, but I like him. He does pretty decent with what's given with him. But
yeah.
This show, I think it really shows that James Gunn is like, John Cena, you do the usual you, but amplify it. And I'm just like, this is nutty. With a lot of things that happened in the first 3 episodes, I was like, this is nutty. That never happened. And even new characters, I'm slowly coming to enjoy more often than usual. And I didn't expect to say this, but I'm really liking some of these villains, to be honest, because that's kind of, what, I mean, Peacemaker is slowly becoming something else, but overall, I'm very impressed with the show. I like the style, I like the humor. This show reminds me of a movie called Super years ago with Ellen Page and the actor that played Dwight in The Office. And I think James Gunn, Rainn Wilson, and I believe it was James Gunn who wrote and directed that. So I can see those influences, and to me, this feels like this feels what James Gunn should have done for a while and not gone to Marvel. Unfortunately, that's just my opinion. I love Guardians, but the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker so far, I'm really enjoying, if not having a blast with Peacemaker. I'm just having a blast.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, with what they've done, so it's funny that you mentioned like how you despised Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad, because just from what I've seen so far in this show, again, we're only 3 episodes in, I really like what they've done with this character so far. He's like this very motivated, enthusiastic person, but also he's very naive about a lot of things. He's very off color in a lot of ways too, which I particularly enjoyed as well. And it's not just him, like the other characters show some promise too. Again, like obviously they don't take up as much space as Peacemaker, but again, I feel like they could possibly prove themselves to be memorable too. And from what I've seen so far, this has James Gunn written all over it.
Oh, yes.
It's hilarious in the most twisted way. There are definitely a lot of comic riffs back and forth between the characters that, let's be real, add runtime onto each particular episode. But again, they're funny, they're entertaining, and they help to reveal part of who each character is. And it's very energetic. It's very explicit too. Again, he's taking full advantage of, let's say, that TVMA or R-rated rating. And it's one thing too, with everything that I've seen from James Gunn, whether it's the Suicide Squad, the Guardians movies, and of course the soundtracks, like, pop culture soundtracks throughout. I feel like a lot of times he's not just making like a film, he's not just making a TV show, he's making a fucking mixtape too. Right?
Oh,
and here's
yes.
the thing, I'm watching this, and it's just one song after another. And I'm like, okay, I know I'll have made it in my career as a filmmaker when I can make something and just put in as many of my favorite songs as I want to just amplify each scene, each moment. Like, I'll have made it when I'm able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, with music, James Gunn just nails it. He nails it all the time with soundtrack and music. And it's funny how you mentioned that he's always making a mixtape, because I remember when Guardians came out and even 2, I constantly downloaded like those songs because it was just so good and so relevant to the films and even the Suicide Squad. And he's doing it again with Peacemaker, so he really has a good attention with what song he wants to use, and he uses them in a wacky way as well. Which again, that's James Gunn.
Yep. Yeah. So again, like the action is and again that's another thing too. The action is really strong so far too. Special effects are really cool, and like I said, I'm actually looking forward to new episodes of the show coming out again every Thursday now.
Yep, same here. Like, and even the narrative is interesting to a certain extent. And I'm just like, I wonder where this is going to go in a wacky way.
Yep. And one thing I have to say, something I just thought of, as far as like other characters showing promise too. What's the actor's name? I think his name is Robert Frank, the guy who plays Peacemaker's father. Holy shit, he is going to be interesting throughout the rest of the show. Like he caught like. I knew he was, without giving away too much, I knew he was a certain way. I didn't know how much of that certain way he was. My God, he's going to be, he's going to make things interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how they apply him to the rest of the story. So, on that lovely note, the next episode of the show streams again on HBO Max this Thursday, January 20th. Again, what do you guys think of Peacemaker so far? Do you feel like he deserved his own show? Has he earned his own show yet? Do you still have to see more in order to make that judgment? Leave your thoughts in that comment section, again, wherever it is that you can. Before we get into the trailer for Bel-Air, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Google Podcasts, Listen Notes, the Podcast Index, Stitcher, and more. And if you want to help out the show, please give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you can, and follow our social media pages that are in the description. Before we review the new Scream film, a trailer was released for Bel-Air, which is essentially a dramatic retelling of the classic sitcom The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I'm going to be honest, when I first heard about this, I'm not sure why this had to be made. And I'm still there now, even after watching this trailer. But even though I'm not sure why this had to be made, I'm going to be honest, this could just be them giving us a really good trailer. But I'm really pissed that I don't have Peacock, because this honestly looks really good. I was really surprised. I actually watched this a couple of times. I'm like, holy shit. And again, I like how, when you do like a dramatic retelling, right? Again, like them doing this is definitely a sign that the industry is running out of ideas, right? They're running out of original ideas. There's no way you can dance around that point when talking about this. That being said, okay, you're not going to get something original. How do you go about redoing this story that's already been done? Sometimes, even with just that, you can create something special out of that too. And one thing I like so far on the drama end of things, I like how it's not filmed in like a stereotypical TV studio like in the original show. Like it definitely has an opportunity to feel very different than the original show. So at least by them making that step and making that decision, I feel like they have the potential to do something special with this.
Yeah, I think so too, even though I'm not too excited for it, right? Because I think Bel-Air is very special in a lot of people's hearts. But I do think it's a good thing that Will Smith is attached to it, so he knows his character. He knows this world. He knows, even how to do the dramatic aspects, I guess, to a certain extent. I find it interesting. Just it's odd for me, at least, because Will Smith's not his character, so it's like, I hope this actor really lives up to what. I mean, Will Smith is an icon. This was a big breakthrough even for him, so it's kind of like the actor has really big shoes to fill in, unfortunately. But I'm interested to see where this goes. I know my dad's pretty excited. He loves Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and he saw the trailer, and he was like, yes, this is pizza night. But yeah, it's like, I wasn't completely sold, but I did find it interesting and intriguing to the point where it's like, I do really want to see this just to see where they go. And I remember years ago, Morgan Cooper, I believe. He is the executive producer and also director. He even pitched this to Will Smith, I believe, and Will Smith was sold on it. Because he did a sort of fan trailer in a sense years ago before, and Will Smith liked
Really?
it, enjoyed it, and that's kind of how that was really the origin of how this officially began. So I'm really happy to see him step up to be the director, executive producer for a show like this, because I know he's done a lot of commercial work before. So I'm really excited to see really his journey as well as a director and writer. So I'm really happy with that too. But again, Bel-Air, unexpected, but I'm intrigued. So that's really what it is for me.
I'm just looking forward to seeing exactly how they go about taking things in certain different directions. Like, I want to see what they do to make the characters different from the original show. Like, from what I've seen so far, again, from the trailer, Carlton, he's still got the height difference between him and Will, but he definitely seems much less awkward. He seems smoother, and at the same time, his ego definitely seems to be bumped up a bit too. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. There doesn't seem to be so much different about, Ashley or Hillary, or Aunt Viv, or even Will. Like, here's the thing: Will is always going to look different in this show as opposed to the original, right? Because the original show, like, Will is again synonymous with Will Smith. So I think just by Will Smith not being the character in the new show, it's just automatically going to feel different. But I want to see exactly what they do to make him different character-wise as opposed to just like portrayal-wise too. But and I really want to see what they do with Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil, you can't convince me otherwise. Uncle Phil was the best character in the original show. I've said multiple times, if everybody had father figures that resemble Uncle Phil, Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Red Foreman from That 70s Show, the world would be a much better place. I still believe that to this day. And now, again, I want to see how this new actor does, even though, again, he has big shoes to fill, too. Because no one, in my mind, again, maybe I'm wrong, no one can replace James Avery as the original Uncle Phil. You just can't do that.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to finally see this, because this has been really in development for a long time. So, and that now that's finally come, that is going to be put out to the public. It's going to be interesting. I'm intrigued and interested. Not excited, but I'm interested enough to want to see it, actually. So, and I hope it's good. That's the thing. I really hope it's good. I really hope this is a well thought out story, a well thought out script, season, and etc. Because if it's not, that's going to be a big stain, and I think this series and franchise, and maybe Will Smith to a certain extent. We'll see. So
yeah. Again, I'm, from what we've seen so far, I'm fairly confident. I'm looking forward to seeing how they use the drama to elevate heavier moments. Because again, like, the show, the original show had some heavier moments, but again, still was more of a sitcom. Again, now they have a drama. They have more room for those heavy emotional moments. This looks very polished, looks very tense. And here's the thing: I want to say that I'm excited for this because I honestly would love to watch this, but I don't have Peacock, so I don't understand like what the point in me getting super excited about this is. So again, for the lucky ones out there that do have Peacock, this show premieres on February 13th. And again, for those of you that have actually seen the trailer, what are your thoughts on all this? Like, again, do you think that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air should actually be rebooted? Do you like how they seem to be going into a more dramatic direction as a way to differentiate it from the original show? Do you have any confidence in this whatsoever? Leave your thoughts in the comments section. Alrighty, and now to cap off the show, we're going to review the new Scream film, which, Darius, is this Scream 5 technically? Or 8 or whatever the fuck it is?
This is technically, I believe it's Scream 5, 2022.
Okay.
The fifth one, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And it's a long time coming.
Yep. 25 years after the events of the original Scream, a new Ghostface murderer emerges and must be stopped by a new generation of Woodsboro residents. And again, I come from a very, I think it's safe to say, unique point of view, weird point of view, because believe it or not, I've never actually seen the original. And even though I've never seen the original, I was still able to appreciate certain references and the fact that they were making certain references, because I did catch on to certain things that they were doing. And I'm like, okay, if I was a bigger fan of Scream and if I had seen the original, I'd appreciate this more, if that makes sense.
Understandable. I mean, the Scream was always just that weird movie franchise that surprisingly has a fan base because it's a slasher film, you know, that's what it is. But I guess they just amplified a lot of things. I guess a part of me hoped it really did something different and really took a spin on its own head, but I didn't feel like it did to a certain extent. And it's just, for me, I was laughing a good chunk of the time where I didn't think I should. Because of just how because there were tense moments. I did feel some of them, and they did subvert some of my expectations. Like the tension I thought was really well done in certain scenes. But again, it always comes down to these type of films, how dumb these characters can be.
Yep. Yeah. And again, I think that's part of it too, because again, one of the things, or really the best part about this film, again, I haven't seen the other ones, is just like how meta and self-aware it is to the point where it feels like a comedy. Like it's skewering horror movie tropes, right?
Yeah.
By, I guess, putting them on full display. Because I remember there was one character in particular who, again, you know, there's a killer on the loose. It's very obvious that there's a killer nearby, and he just goes out by himself. He goes out by himself. And I'm just like, I'm not rooting for you at all.
Exactly. It's like,
you're doing this to yourself. And again, it was just so meta and so self-aware to the point where it almost felt like a comedy. You know what I mean? Like it was making fun of it, even though I don't think that the comedy aspect was like the main priority of this film. But at the same time, it almost felt like it was trying to be a comedy with how much it was making fun of itself, basically, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, it was, and that's one of the things. Again, this is a weird movie for me because I remember out of the theater, you know, and I was talking, I was like, wow, I really wish I saw this before we did the worst movies of 2021. And I wish it came out 2021 just so I could put this movie in it. But at the same time, it's weird because it's like, I did have some enjoyment with it, mainly because...
Honestly, so did I.
These characters were stupid, and I was like, I feel nothing, I love this. But,
you know, and again, it's funny too because, you know, it's weird. Like, I didn't think I'd enjoy this movie as much as I did because, again, I'd never seen the original. And there's definitely things in this movie that you can make fun of, but I'm like, okay, is that part of the point of it all?
Yeah.
I mostly feel like it is. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, and there are even some dialogue in it that I just bursted out laughing, especially afterwards. And I was like, yep, I think they reign true on their own movie and the quality of their own movie. And
it's funny that you mentioned that too, because that dialogue, right, whether it's some of that dialogue or, you know, some of the acting that felt a little bit over the top, again, I'm like, is that on purpose? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I think so, because that's how the original Screams kind of felt too. That it was just this crazy slasher that is just meant to be, I guess, a bit over the top. So in that regard, they stay true to what Scream is. But I guess for me as a horror fan, I kind of just expected and wanted more. And I guess it's that thing where I think my interest in horror is changing greatly. Whereas when I see something like Scream, I'm just like, this isn't horror. But it's like, I get it, though. That's the thing. I get it. But you could have done more. I think that's the big thing for me.
You know, it's interesting, too, like, what I say, or when they talk, but one of the things that they make fun of in the movie was, right, is like the whole, this isn't too much of a spoil, like the whole requel idea, right? Like, you know, not just a sequel or a reboot, like it's a sequel where they have multiple generations of characters working together. And I generally speaking, I do like when they do that in films. I really do like that. I like the idea of, again, passing the torch, which, again, is another thing that they make fun of in the film. But I do generally like that concept, the idea of handing something down, like a responsibility down from one generation to the next. I generally love when they do that. And I really like how in this movie, like, they kind of, you know, pick apart and make fun of that idea, too. Now, Darius, as someone who actually saw the original movie and enjoyed it as much as you've told me that you have, did you appreciate, like, the callbacks to the original film?
I did, honestly. Seeing some of the characters, I was like, I remember you. I know what you did. And yeah, I like some of the revelations with even some of the newer characters and how they're connected to the original. I did actually like that because I felt
Same.
that was the new I wanted. But at the same time, I just wanted more of that instead of just we're going back to like this nostalgia feeling of what Scream is and everything, instead of actually trying to do something new or at least amplify it. So again, it's the smaller things I did enjoy. You know, we all know Dewey's in it. The original cast, you know, absolutely
Monica
great.
Geller.
Yeah, and you know, and it's like I like them. I remember them. It's been a while since I've seen the original Scream and the other ones, but there are things where it's like when you see them, you remember what happens and everything. And I was like, yeah, this is bringing back some good fun memories. Again, it's a weird movie because it's like I didn't like it, but at the same time I did because of just the character actions and how stupid it was.
Yeah. So overall, like I said, I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to. Like, I thought about reviewing this. I'm like, all right, whatever. You know, a lot of people are going to see this. Let's talk about it on the show. Why not? I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. So this, honestly, for me personally, was a pleasant surprise.
Okay.
Yeah. So for all you guys, did you guys actually get a chance to watch Scream? You know, and again, what did you think of it? Does it live up to the original film? You know, do you feel like this had to be done? Did you like the idea of them skewering certain horror concepts and making fun of itself, essentially? Leave your thoughts in that comment section. And just like that, the show is done. You know, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notifications, whether you're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, and more. And if you want to help out the show, because we hope that you enjoyed this episode today, give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you can, and follow our social media pages that are listed in the description. And we'll see you next week.
Scream was stupid.